So that was quite the that was quite the outgoing week for 2022. So we went from basically no snow here to this massive blizzard that covered 200 million people in the US that were affected by the storm right before Christmas of 2022. As you can see here, we have a 7 foot tall drift here that completely buried the wood pile and stuff. So yeah, the yard is kind of like a funnel here where all kinds of snow gets caught here in the trees. And we had to call in a farmer with a big snowblower just to clear the roads because we had parts of the road here that had drifts across that they were rock hard drifts. So even the snow here is just so hard you can walk on it and you barely make a track on it. It's just wind driven and hard like plaster. So we down the driveway there we had 4 foot drifts. This farmer came and he cleared my driveway here, and we had a guy here with a big skid steer. My friend was here with his 90 horse skid steer, and this farmer was here with what looked like a 170 horse John Deere and a snowblower in the back. So that's how much snow we got. And right as at the height of the blizzard, we get up in the morning and the furnace is down. Like the house was down at like 58 degrees because the furnace wasn't kicking on like it was supposed to. What? So my cat just came out here complaining. What are you complaining about? What? What are you complaining about? Anyway, so we get up that day after the blizzard, after 2 days of the blizzard, and the heat in the house is down to 58 degrees. Where are we going? You want to go for a walk? I think she wants to go for a walk. The house was dropping to 58 degrees. The blizzard was raging for the second day already, and so I had to figure out what's going on. Why is the temperature dropping and the furnace not kicking on? Because it sure was working the night before. So, and when it's that windy, the temperature in the house drops pretty significantly, pretty fast. So that's what we had to deal with right at the height of the blizzard. It's the furnace in the house. So when a blizzard is raging like that, and you think of all kinds of things, but what you do is you go outside and you make sure that you got propane in your tank and that the regulators are not covered in snow, which they weren't. So that's where I started. And went up on the roof, made sure that the chimney vent wasn't clogged with ice and snow. Knocked some of it off. It wasn't really clogged, but I still knocked some of it off because there was a lot of it hanging down. And then we got to seeing why the furnace wasn't kicking on. There was an error. There was an error code showing on the screen. It was cycling. But I know quite a bit about stuff like that, so I started going through. Well, obviously the problem is not propane because the tank is like 45-50% yet, and the regulators are not buried. Chimney is not clogged. And so I had narrowed down to the furnace. And as you can see here, we literally had no snow before the storm. But look how much of it drifted up in the yard here. It gets caught like a funnel. And this is a really hard driven snow. Anyway, so I narrowed it down to the furnace and got to diagnosing because we knew that the gas valve in the furnace has to have 24 volts. And so I tested a multimeter at the gas valve. The gas valve was never getting 24 volts. So, well, then what else could it be? It's got to be a safety. And so as the video goes along here, you'll see how I diagnosed and what became of that. It was pretty interesting. Okay, so the fact that I'm not getting 24 volts here at the gas valve means there's something else wrong. So I'm testing here for 24 volts and I never get 24 volts on my tester. So I think I just figured out what's wrong with my furnace, why we're not even getting 24 volts at the valve here. So under the house, it's really cold, and the condensation drain for this furnace goes under the house. So when I initially had this installed, the first year, I had the drain freeze up, And K&C came in to charge me 90 bucks. And all they did is they took this condensation drain off here. They took the hose off and just let the water drip from this drain fitting under the house through this hole in the floor. Anyways, I just took that hose off and water just came gushing out. See all this water here? There was so much water backed up in the drain system. I took the hose off and put it aside here, and now the system drained itself. And I bet now if I turn my furnace on, it's going to work. That's what was wrong. See, this is a condensating boiler. It makes a lot of condensation, and so if it's not able to drain, then the water backs up in here. And there's a safety mechanism in here that kills the furnace if the condensation isn't draining away. Otherwise, you would flood the inside of the furnace. So I'm going to fire it up. I'm gonna fire it up now. After I drained that out, I took that drain hose off here, and all this water came gushing out. And so now it's drained. It's just dripping through the floor under the house. So I'm gonna kick the furnace on, and it's gonna take it a minute here as it cycles through the various stages. You can actually watch through the hole here. You can watch it go through the different different codes as it's starting up. So now it's got a F9, and then it should turn to on. You'll see it go to on, and then it'll purge the combustion chamber with air, and then the igniter will light up, and then once the igniter glows, then it should kick on the gas valve. So right now the fan is on. It's purging the combustion chamber, and after it's purged the combustion chamber, that display should change to on. I might have to stop the video here because the video is getting pretty long. Okay, so I'm firing up the furnace here, as you can hear. So what was wrong is the condensation was not draining because the line is froze that goes through the floor under the house. So I popped the line off here, this fitting, and all this water came gushing out. So these boilers make a lot of condensation, and it has to go somewhere. So now the furnace is cycling up. It's on. So you can look in there on the display. So this is a 2-stage, and it's always on low. We're not using high stage on this 2-stage furnace. So it's purging the combustion chamber now with air. And then the igniter will glow. Boom! You see the gas valve opened, and all the burners are blowing blue flames. So that what was wrong, is that condensation drain froze shut under the house. And as soon as I took the hose off this fitting, all this water came gushing out. There's a safety in here, like a float, that if the condensation doesn't dissipate, go away, and it kills the furnace. And that's what was wrong. So I fixed her. Cool. So this is through the side glass. Look at it going. Beautiful. I'll show you how much condensation this thing puts out. Come over here where I took that hose off that barb fitting. Look at it dripping. See, now it's just dripping the condensation through a hole in the floor. So yeah, condensation backed up in this pipe into the furnace, and there's like a float shut off in there. So these are condensating boilers. There's a lot of condensation that happens in these high efficient boilers. Anyway, so I guess the hose under the house is froze shut, and that's the problem I had initially when they installed it. The condensation hose underneath would freeze shut under the house. So the guy came one time and he just took my hose off and fixed my furnace. So here today, as I'm working on it, this September, when I fixed the water line stuff underneath, I put this all back on. I figured it's fixed now. Apparently not, because I guess drip and freezing underneath, it's froze the hose shut. So I'll just leave her off, leave her drip through the floor. It's just fine. But she's fixed, she's going. Thank you.